27 years of business, because during that period of time, I also operated some businesses. I will tell you that when I sold everything in 2000, and I got involved with the city politics. I also got a nursing home back in 2004 that was troubled. I also ended up with a oxygen company that I'd sold back that was troubled because the new owners were having problems with it. I was able to restabilize both of those businesses while I was mayor. In 2007, I had a unique opportunity occur, and that's we had a Chevy dealership in Wadsworth that was going to close. Now, a lot of people say, when you say, well, who is Jim Renacci? Well, he's a car dealer. He's a car salesman. I've heard all those stories. I can tell you what Jim Renacci is. Jim Renacci is a guy who bought a car dealership in late 2007 to save 50 jobs for the city of Wadsworth. And the reason the car dealership was going to close, this was one of the best Chevy dealerships in the state. The problem was there was a gentleman who took it over in 2005 that for 2 years used it for money laundering and a number of other things. And he was later convicted of 38 counts and I think just recently got out of prison, 2.5 years of prison. But the problem was the business was there, 50 employees. The business was going to shut down. I had no interest in owning a car dealership, but this was my community. This is something I was very proud of, my community. So I did step up with the help of the employees. I acquired the business, and we brought this business, which was one of the best in the state, that would tumble drastically, started it back to a point where it was stable and operating. But as I've told people in many of my speeches, the economy wasn't what I feared most about maintaining this business. What truly was the greatest problem was the federal government. Because as you know what happened in May of 2009, General Motors, with the help of the federal government, filed bankruptcy and then decided that certain business owners and certain dealerships couldn't stay in business. And ultimately, I will tell you that I got one of those letters, but it's interesting because if you look at why I got one of those letters, how does a guy that only operates a business for 14 months get a letter stating, and by the way, steps in and acquires that business and puts capital into that business, how does a guy that has that for 14 months end up being told you can't stay in business anymore? I tell everybody that was the darkest day in American capitalism. Ladies and gentlemen, that is something we need to strongly remember, because if it can happen in the car business and it can happen in the banking business, which we know it has, it can happen anywhere. So I now am fighting General Motors and the government to maintain that business. And it's an interesting story because I will tell you, those are the kind of things that drive men and women who are in those positions where you really have to understand background of business and what it takes to provide for a family and provide for an employee and all those things. I will tell you, I'll go back to my healthcare business too, because I had an interesting twist in my healthcare business. I had 11 facilities in 1993, had about $11 million worth of debt, and the state government at that time came in and said, all my facilities were old, 2-story buildings, all the mansion-type facilities that you may have seen. The state government came in at that time, so I've had this twice now. I've had the government come in twice. They came in and said, your facilities do not meet the standard we want anymore. And that your 2-story facilities and your multiple beds per ward have to be brought into a standard of 2 beds per room, a bathroom per room. Now I'm sitting here, I'm successful in my nursing home business, but I have the federal government and state government now telling me I can't keep those businesses. So again, I go back twice, the car business and this business. I will tell you what I did in the nursing home business, I didn't sleep very well. I had 3 young children. I had a wife that I was concerned about, but I never told her. For days, I never told her the problems. One day I woke up and said, I'm going to fix this problem. I started a construction company. I tore down every one of those facilities, built all brand new facilities, and that was really the start of another career of mine, which was the construction business of building facilities and ultimately bringing facilities up to standard, which I later sold in 2000. So I step back and tell you about that, only because I'm also probably one of those candidates, the only candidate in the group that can tell you that I have personally been affected by how government can interfere with you, not only personally, but from a business standpoint. And both times I had to do what was necessary to be able to withstand that. And I think those are the times, and those are trying times, that really help us as far as myself, understand why we need to remove the government officials that are in there today doing some of these things, especially in the federal government. Now let me tell you why I'm running for Congress. I tell everybody there's 3 reasons. Number 1, today, you are all being represented not by John Bocherry, your congressman. You're being represented by Nancy Pelosi. John Bocherry votes 94.1% of the time with Nancy Pelosi. And if you're happy with Nancy Pelosi, then John Bocherry is the person you want to vote for. If you're not happy with with Nancy Pelosi, then I'm the person you want to vote for. Second reason I'm running for Congress. I'm the only candidate out of everyone that's running that can say that I have 27 years of business experience, 27 years of balancing budgets, 27 years of employing over 2,500 people, and 27 years of creating over 1,500 jobs. No other candidate can say that, and no other candidate can say they even understand that, including John Bocherry, because they haven't done it. I've done it. All right? That's an important piece that I think is extremely, when we go to Congress, we don't need lawyers in Congress anymore. We don't need politicians in Congress anymore. We don't need people in Congress who haven't had the life experiences to understand what it takes to employ somebody, what it takes to maintain a job, what it takes to balance a budget. And also in those 27 years of doing that, I was able to take 8 years and balance a government budget, which again, nobody else that's running against me has been able to take deficit spending and balance a budget like I was able to too. So I stand 100% apart from the other candidates when it comes to that. The third reason, and these are principal reasons, and there's plenty of principles. I'm going to give you the opportunity to ask me if there's any questions you have of me, but the third one is the principles I believe in. I believe in less government. All right? I believe in less taxes. I believe in personal responsibility. And I also believe that this government is here for one single purpose, and that's to protect our freedoms. And we need a strong military. And we need to support a very strong military. Now, those are Republican standards. We all know that. But I will also tell you that I am running first as an American. Number 1, I'm an American, because the Republicans have made their mistakes too. And the Democrats have made their mistakes. I'm running as American first, a Republican second. Now, I'm going to tell you some of the things I believe, and then we'll open it up for questions. Here are some of my beliefs and some of my positions. Number 1, cap and trade. All right? Cap and trade. No congressman in this district in Ohio that voted for cap and trade should ever go back to Congress, because cap and trade it's a job-killing bill. It will affect us, but not too many people understand. I stood in front of a nursing home group, 80 employees last week, because they were trying to understand, tell me how the federal government is going to affect my job. I said, well, let me explain something about cap and trade. They had a balanced budget in this nursing home. $250,000 in utilities. I tried to explain to them, I want to tell you how cap and trade is going to hurt you. $250,000 in utilities. Cap and trade will cost about, they say, 20 to 30% additional cost. Let's just say it's 20%. That's $50,000 more expense to that nursing home. If you already have a balanced budget, that puts the nursing home $50,000 more in a hole. That is something we cannot let occur. It's interesting, after it was all over with, I had a woman come up to me and say, I'm Jennifer Bruner's aunt, and I'm going to support you because you sound like my niece. And I thought, wow, because Jennifer Bruner is, of course, I don't know if you know who she is, but she's a Democrat running for Secretary of State, and I'm so far away from her in values and principles, it's pathetic. But what I will tell you was, I at least caught the heart of somebody in that room, because they understood that I understood what it meant as far as the business world when it comes to cap and trade.